we are looking at healthcare from the holistic approach. So I am assuming most of you here are Christians because you're in a church, right? And in faith, we describe God as being the person in three. So, we say God there? Correct. And we also say because you have God the Father, do you still need the Holy Spirit? Do you still need Jesus Christ? And we are made in the likeness and image of God, right? So the same way God exists in three, we have God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Even us as humans, we have like a holy, quote unquote, a holy trinity of ourselves. So we have the human in mind, the human in body, and the human in spirit. And just as we've said, in God, you don't, at least because you have one, you don't need the other. You need a perfect balance of all three. Sindio? So also us in being human, we need a perfect balance of all three. So for the next 30 minutes, we are going to have this discussion of how to balance our body, our mind, and our spirit. So health from the whole picture of health. So kindly help me welcome my panel. It's a bit long, so msichoke kupiga makofi. The first one is Joanne Kirera. She's a counseling psychologist. Please clap for her. So she's going to take us through the mind person, quote unquote. So just clap for her until afike. Thank you, thank you. The next one is Emily Wahome, who's a nutrition and wellness coach. Thank you. Clap for her. Clap for her. So she's going to take us through how to take care of our body from the nutrition aspect. The next is Dr. Gladys Minor. She's a dental surgeon. Yeah, she's going to take us through oral health. And then we have Dr. Caroline Mithi, who's a diabetologist and an obesity specialist. Oh, yeah, amevaa scrubs. Makofi kwake. She's in character. And then we have Lily Murugi, who is a fire emergency survivor. Please clap for her. So I've saved the best for the last because this one and Percy, the way they clap for you, you will know if they love you or not. The last member of this panelist is Pastor Dennis Barasa. Thank you. Clap for yourselves for being well. Okay, so we are ready, panelists? Okay, thank you. Right, so we'll start this discussion by defining health from the holistic approach. And Joanne will take us through health as like the whole picture. Yeah, what you think it means and the misconception that people have when it comes to health, maybe looking at it from just one aspect.
Thank you so much. So health, a human being is holistic. So we look at the physical, the mental, the emotional. We also have the social and the spiritual. So those parts are interlinked because when you have deficiency in one, it affects the other. So we cannot be talking about health without looking at the spiritual person, and then we look at how you're doing emotionally, and then we look at the physical well-being, which has been discussed a lot, and then we look at how are you when it comes to healthy friendships, and how are you when it comes to lack of those. And then that combination makes a person whole and functional.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So health is not just one. We need all three aspects of it to be in balance. Lillian, let me come to you. You have a very powerful story about how you survived the 2024 Embakasi explosion. So kindly share with us your testimony, your story, how you survived the accident, and the challenges, especially the mental trauma that came because of that experience.
Okay. As you have heard, my name is Lily. I was involved in the Embakasi explosion, which happened on 1st of February 2024, which I was ill for 6 months in bed, without walking, without taking care of myself. And then when I was in that bed, I had to think and have a conversation with myself and God and ask God, this is how I am. I can't walk, I can't move, and my legs are totally damaged, and I have to accept myself. So it began by accepting myself and just asking God for healness. And that is not the end of the world, because I remember the day the incident happened, when I was lying there down, I asked God. I said peace with death, and I asked God that, is this how I'm gonna die? And I was just lying there, and I just said peace, and I closed my eyes. The next thing I could see is a burning metal in front of me, and that's what woke me up, and I ran.
Okay, thank you for sharing your story. That must have been a bit hard for you, but thank you for your confidence. And Joanne, back to you. Because of such an experience, especially when she said, for 6 months she was in bed and she couldn't do anything, she was going through a lot of mental, challenges, the emotional, psychological. It's really a lot, right? So maybe when somebody goes through such a traumatic experience, what do you think are the challenges they face, especially psychological, and what can we as maybe their caregivers do to help them through such an experience?
When any person is faced by crisis, they respond differently. They could run, which we call flight. They could freeze, which, you just are there doing nothing. And also, there are some people who just make peace. Not like you agree to it, because all of us will go through shock and denial and eventually grow into a place of acceptance. But basically, some people just sort of agree with it in their not good mental space. In some cases, then people fight. A few people will fight. But mostly because the initial response to crisis is shock and denial, people need a lot of support around it. But I believe as community, as society, most of the time, in our own shock, we might judge and not be supportive to them. And sometimes, if there's no way you can support, just be present and do nothing and say nothing. Because in our own shock or in our not knowing, we can say things, we can appear judgmental, we can try to make peace so fast, we can tell them to accept it pretty quickly, things that are not possible for someone who is going through crisis or suffering. So if you do not know what to do, just be present and say nothing. But if you must do anything, ask the person the kind of support you can give them. What do you need right now? Do you need to talk? Then give them space to talk. Do you need to cry? Then give them a space to cry. Do you need to say nothing? That is perfectly fine too. So because we do not know how people respond and people are very different, allow them to let you know how to support them, or simply do nothing and just be present.
Thank you very much for that. Pasi, one thing that Lily has said is when she was when she was recovering, on the road to recovery, she used to have conversations with God, So what is the role of spiritual well-being when it comes to the overall well-being?
True. Thank you so much. Let me begin by saying this, that we need to understand, like you began by saying that the same way the Godhead is tripartite, even man. So we need to understand that man is tripartite: spirit, soul, body. So that's the way God ordained it, in that order. So when you look at 1 Thessalonians 5:23, the Bible says, and may the God of peace sanctify you wholly, and your whole spirit, soul, body be preserved until the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. So looking at health holistically, instead of compartmentalizing it, is what gives us that wholeness. Because you really cannot talk about wellness when you focus on one particular aspect of health or wellness, ignoring the other. So having said that the spirit man is like the king, right? Because life is spiritual. So 3 John 2, the Bible says, beloved, I wish above all things that you may be in health, that you may prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospered. So again, there we see that spiritual supersedes, right? So drawing that strength and peace from God is very, very important, even when you're going through any challenge. Because I will define then spiritual wellness as intentional pursuit of a relationship with God, aligning your inner life with His will, and finding peace and purpose in His presence. So when you are going through a challenge like she went through, right? If you're not anchored spiritually, anything you hear can actually sweep you, right? So being rooted in God then plays a key role even in times of crisis. Because if you are anchored in God, who is the source of our unchanging source of our strength, no matter what you hear, all right, you can be able to face any challenge with courage, with boldness, knowing that what you hear really is not the end of your life.
I like what you've said about being anchored to God. And most times when we go through like difficult times, sometimes it can either take us to God or take us from God. It can go both ways. So maybe what do you tell somebody who's going through a hard time, and instead of the experiences taking them to God, it's like drawing them away?
Yes, thank you. Now, experiences come at times, and to be honest, it's not easy, all right? Nonetheless, having said that, it's important to know that when crises come, when you understand that life is spiritual, when you face such a crisis, at times you may not really have the strength. Maybe let's assume you used to spend like 10 or like 3 hours praying every day and studying the word. And when you face such a crisis, at times you may not really have the strength to pray. Nonetheless, understanding that our walk with God is not performance based, right? Most importantly is that finding, even if it's 10 minutes a day. At times you may not really be able to pray those deep prayers, but just opening and pouring your heart to God is more important than running away from Him.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Gladys, Percy has said we don't compartmentalize our health. And I think one of the areas in healthcare that has really maybe been taken for granted is the oral health. Maybe sometimes we think because we brush teeth in the morning, it's okay. But what more can we do to take care of our oral health, and why is it important to not take it like for granted?
Hello, thank you for the opportunity. So yes, it's true that many times oral health has been seen as not being important, but that has been a misnomer that we are trying to change in the oral healthcare community. And one thing we need to realize is that the mouth is actually a mirror to your body. The reason why I say this is because the moment you go to a dentist, many times we are able to identify situations in your mouth that could lead us to a diagnosis of a bigger problem that's happening in your body. So from the mouth, you could come up with indicators, be it gums that are bleeding, ulcers in the mouth, discoloration, change in the structure of the mouth, a dry mouth. It could lead us to identifying problems that are happening in your digestive system, in your mind, especially when someone is very stressed. Your body will keep record. You'll come in complaining of jaw pain, teeth that are broken, or even other situations like feeding disorders could be identified from the body. Diabetes has most times been picked from a dental visit. It was an incidental visit. You went for a checkup, and whatever we find in your mouth leads us to identifying situations that are more than you thought you had. Heart diseases, even some some cancers in the body have been picked from the mouth. So yes, the mouth may look like a small part of the body, but it is actually a mirror to your entire system. So how to better take care of ourselves, I would advise that we make a point of visiting a dentist at least once a year. It doesn't have to be a private practitioner. I know many county hospitals now have dentists attached in those departments. So make a point, visit your dentist and walk the journey. You never know what could be found in your mouth that could lead us to a bigger situation in the rest of your body.
Do you guys go to dentists? I've never, in my 20-something years of life, but I'll start going to a dentist to Meniambia. Speaking of mouth and food goes through our mouth, Emily, let's talk about diet culture and how all of a sudden, how many are on a diet? I know you wouldn't say, but me, I've tried so many diets. I've done keto, I've done what. We're doing so many things because we're looking for quick fixes, right? So there's Ozempic that has come up and just like a lot of things that are coming up, quick fixes to our bodies to help us look better. So maybe take us through that, what you think from an informed point and your advice to us.
Thank you. I'm seated on a very hot seat because of very many quick fixes that are there. If you get your phone right now, you can get very many things that are going to help you, and they are giving you miracles. You can lose 10 kilograms in 1 week. All these things are there online. But what I can say about quick fixes, because even patients, when they come to clinic, a patient will come, of course, when they have visited Google already. They'll come and you're trying to tell them the healthy way of losing weight, but some of them really insist. Many patients are insisting on the gastric balloon, and they will insist and insist. So the gastrologist sometimes, they will give them the balloon. But then the nutritionist, I have to tell you the truth. As much as you're fixing this balloon, yes, you'll have it for some time. It will make your stomach smaller, so you will not have larger portions. But what is the long term? What is a long-term sustainable way of losing weight and keeping a healthy weight? As a nutritionist, that's what I'm interested in. And even your health, whatever method you're using, is it impacting your health positively or negatively? Some of the quick fixes we are having, they are depriving us of very important nutrients. Sometimes even the fasting that we do, you can do a healthy fast, guided by a nutritionist or your health practitioner, but some of the things we are doing, we are depriving ourselves very important nutrients, minerals and vitamins that are supposed to help us with our immunity. So what I can say is that if you are interested in losing weight, please visit the healthcare practitioner, visit the experts, get the right information of how you can lose weight. You realize that we don't also gain weight within a week. So we can't lose it within a week. We need to have a practical, long-term plan of how you can lose weight in a healthy way and sustain. That is the most important thing. The quick fixes work. The Ozempic, if you come and insist, the doctor will give you the Ozempic. But at the same time, when you finish taking that dosage of Ozempic is a drug that has been used for treating diabetes. But what it does for weight loss, it puts your appetite down. That's how now people lose weight. So for that period, when you have Ozempic medication, your appetite will be down. But when we withdraw, then your high appetite comes back. And then you're having your large portions. You're not doing exercise, and there is nothing else you're doing. So you keep coming for Ozempic, on, off, on, off. So the only sustainable weight loss, work with a nutritionist or a dietitian. They are there, and they will help you to have a sustainable, healthy weight loss journey. And it is possible. I have worked with so many clients who have sustained a healthy weight after having obesity. So it is possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Speaking of diabetes, let's move to the diabetologist, Dr. Mithi. The lifestyle diseases, what are we supposed to look out for? How the hormones interact with our habits? Yeah.
Thank you for that. So the lifestyle diseases include diabetes, hypertension, and now obesity has actually been listed as a lifestyle disease. And so things to look out for. I have to say that these are silent diseases, meaning you actually have to go and get checked to realize that you have them early on, and later on then they come with complications. So some of the symptoms of diabetes that you'd want to look out for: are you excessively thirsty? Are you excessively hungry? Even as much as you eat, you just feel hunger. Are you losing weight or gaining weight very rapidly? Are you going to the bathroom to pass urine very frequently? And do you have a family history of anyone with diabetes? So you'd need to go in and have a diabetes check, and to avoid the complications, and such complications will range to kidney failure, leading you to dialysis, leading you to transplant. You can have heart attacks and strokes. You can have amputations. So before we get to the complications, then we ask that you come in, just like we've had in the first panel, screening for cancer, also come in and have yourself screened for diabetes and for high blood pressure. Obesity, I want to take up from what our nutritionist said. So now obesity is a disease, and the backbone of our treatment is actually diet, that is nutrition, because that is sustainable, and also exercise. And what we tell you is at least every day, exercise for 30 minutes a day, and that will be sustainable. I also have to say that now there is medication for obesity, especially for patients who really need it and who have other comorbid conditions, maybe diabetes, because these medications were initially postulated for diabetes. So if you have those, then there is medication, but we take you through the side effects. For example, did you know Ozempic can actually cause blindness? You know, it can cause thyroid cancer. And so before you're actually put on this medication, then we'll have to screen your eyes. We screen you for thyroid cancer. And so I agree with Emily that you'd actually have to go into a healthcare provider. We do the initial assessments before actually putting you on this medication. But even after we've done any weight loss therapy, whether it's medication or surgery or balloon therapy, remember what will sustain is the nutrition and the exercise at the end of it all.
Okay. Picking up from nutrients, basic science, Emily taught us that we need like a balanced diet. So we need our carbohydrates, we need our protein, we need our veggies. But now when I'm grown up, I see I'm supposed to cut down on carbs. So how do I honor like the traditional Kenyan foods, but still do it in a nutritious way?
Thank you. We need to go back to basics. God created very nice and healthy food. But of course, because we have to manufacture food and preserve it and keep it on the shelf for so long, we have had to process food and therefore lose the wholesomeness of the food sometimes. And therefore, instead of limiting the intake of carbohydrate completely, because that's what some of the things that people are doing. She said she did keto, so she eliminated carbohydrate from her diet, and yet carbohydrate is a very important nutrient for you to have. So what we need to do, let's go back to the whole food that we used to have. Those of us who are of our age, we really went to the supermarket to buy the flour, the maize flour, right? We used to go to the portion meal, especially those who maybe came from the village like me. I never saw a packet flour. I'm not demarketing anybody, but what I'm saying is that try as much as possible. Go to natural, wholesome food. Those are the food that are loaded with nutrients, and therefore you will get all that you need from those foods. And then instead of eliminating, there's something we call portion control. So I do not want to bring a lot of science here. I want to make it simple. If I'm having my carbohydrate, I need to ask myself, how even active am I? If I'm seated in the office the whole day on those seats that go around like this, you know them, and then I drive back home, I go and sit in front of my TV, I do not do any form of physical exercise, and then in the evening, I sit with a mountain of ugali on my plate and very little vegetables, you know, very little vegetables, and then a plate of meat, maybe a huge portion. What is happening there is that I'm having too much of calories or energy that I don't require. So I think whole food and then checking on your portions. You don't overdo, and then go for whole food. And then what she has said, exercise. Let's not complicate it. You can even choose to walk or jog or run in your compound or outside, wherever you are, just to be physically active. Or go up the staircase. If you are working in a place where you have a staircase, just go up and down instead of using a lift. That is still some form of exercise. So let's make it simple and make sure that we are doing it every day. And then maybe the last one that we ignore most is sleep. If you want to be healthy, if you want to lose weight, you must have adequate sleep, a minimum of 7 hours. And I'm telling that also to myself. Be deliberate about your sleep. If you're missing out on your sleep, the doctors here will even tell you. Some of the health conditions we have are being brought up because of lack of sleep. So your body is not able to rest and repair. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Carol, back to you. So when it comes to, you've said obesity is a disease, and now I'm sure everybody will be worried about their weight. But how do we stop obsessing about weight and do it in a sustainable, a healthy way? I ensure that, yes, I'm taking care of my weight, but again, I'm not obsessive over if I add 1 kg, oh my God. Yeah.
So before we used to use the BMI to define obesity, meaning that you're a certain height vis-a-vis weight, and so you have obesity. But that definition is changing. We're looking at your waist circumference. Those of us who have a bit of fat around the waist, because then that has been shown to have a higher risk of other cardiovascular disease or heart diseases. And so before you actually rush for the quick fixes, as we've said, we need to first define what class of obesity are you or weight are you in. And so you need to have your waist taken, your height taken, your hip circumference taken. And so we are able to calculate your risk. With that risk, then we tell you that you urgently need to do something about it, and this urgently over and above the exercise and the nutrition, then we recommend other ways, either medication or device therapy. Or we tell you you're in the mid class of obesity, and so we are able to do it very gradually in terms of exercise and nutrition. And now we target, okay? We are not targeting 10 kgs in a month. The recommended is just 0.5 to 1 kg per week. So that means that if you lose 2 kgs in a month, sustainably, you're on the right track. If you lose 2 to 4 kgs, you're on the right track. And so we are able to calculate that for you according to your risk. Do you have other diseases? Do you have diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, kidney failure? And so all these, we are able to say how aggressive should you be to lose weight. But really, if you're able to prevent the weight from coming in from the first place in terms of eating right and exercising, that will be good. And also part of the service that we are offering out here is actually to check your body analysis now and to see, now we're not only looking at the muscle and the weight, it's how much fat do you have around the organs, what you call visceral fat, how much subcutaneous fat, how much water intake. And so it's a bit more comprehensive now, as opposed to now looking to just losing the 1 kg on the scale. And during this weight loss journey, we're looking at something called non-scale victories, meaning, yes, you may not have lost the kg, but are you sleeping better? Are you moving better? Are you feeling better? For the ladies, is your menstruation better now? So we're looking at other faculties, not only the weight and the scale. And so it's just now removing our mind from, let's lose the extra kg, but how sustainable is it and how healthy are we doing the weight loss?
Okay, thank you. So as we wrap up the session, John, maybe you can finish off by telling us the importance of rest in our mental health and maybe your final remarks, just in a minute because time is up.
I would want to talk about self-care because everyone has been speaking about self-care and I really agree with them. As women, we are taught to allow others to lean on us, and so we do not know how to rest. I remember my mother telling me at one point of my life that as a woman, you do not get tired, you're never hungry, and what is the other thing? You know, that kind of conversation, you get it. So you are supposed to be ever full of strength. And we have embraced that as women. And one of the things that I'll say to us women is no one else will stay in your life like you stay for yourself. So you need to look inward and ask yourself, what do I need today? What is it that I need to provide myself? And do that for yourself. When you need rest, do not wait for your people around you to tell you rest. Please take that rest. Have yourself checked in case you need to have yourself checked. As you allow others to lean on you, be the first person who can lean on yourself.
Thank you. Lily, what advice would you give to somebody who's going through any form of mental trauma? So it could be psychological, physical, emotional.
Okay. First thing, you would begin by, this is a new life you have come to. So you need to identify yourself. And being that at that situation I was mentally, physically, and spiritually affected and sick. So you need also to know that you have to accept yourself first, so that now you can begin to go to the next step. And now, beginning like that time when I used not to walk, I had to come into to talk to myself and God that now, Lily, you have to lift yourself from this place and walk, because nobody will come into your life to make you move out of that bed. You're the one mentally. Pains begin it's begin in the mind, then yourself as a body. So when you really accept the situation you are into, now you know the solution to the next step.
Okay. Percy, final remarks?
One, two. Hey there. I know I don't know what you could be facing right now, but this is my charge to you: that maintain a robust, healthy, vital, pulsating relationship with God. Because if you are spiritually anchored, that's where you'll draw strength from. All right? No matter what you face in life, I've observed people that have a healthy spiritual life. They are always resilient in crisis, centered in identity, anchored in peace, and they live a purpose-driven life. That no matter what comes your way, if you can put God first, believe you me, you can face any crisis with boldness. God bless you.
Thank you. Dr. Gladys?
A healthy mouth is a healthy mind. What this means is, if you have a healthy mouth, then it means that we've been able to have a peek into the rest of your body. You will be at peace, you will smile more, you'll be more confident, and you'll be able to face life, because any moment you are speaking, you're engaging, we can tell, we can see, and the first thing we see is your mouth. So if you're not having a healthy mouth, it means you're not moving around confidently, you're hiding, you're not participating in daily life activities, you're in distress, you're in discomfort. So visit your dentist today. If you'd like, we have a free dental checkup outside, courtesy of Real Smiles Dental Clinic, free of charge. Have a chat with your dental care practitioner.
Thank you. Dr. Mithi, final remarks?
Eat healthy, move more. Thank you.
Thank you. Emily?
Food is medicine. Please take it and take it very well. You'll keep diseases away if you use nutrition well.
Thank you for your time. God bless you. Yeah, I'll hand it over to Dr. Korir.